our Bhakti Viksha, somebody just joined sometime back. They know Prabhuji. They don't know anything else, but they know Prabhu. So, all praise Prabhu. Thank you for accepting our invitation and joining us on this auspicious occasion.
Prabhu, we can't hear you, Prabhu. Are you unmuted, but we can't hear you.
One second, one second.
Yeah, yeah,
Can
we
you
can
hear
hear
me
you.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a USB condenser mic also, so I think it's better now. It's
Yes,
clear. Everybody can hear me clearly.
yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Is anyone else who would like to speak? I mean, I've come early. I think.
Okay, Prabhu. To be on time means to be 5 minutes before time.
Now, if anybody else is left out, you can ask them to speak. But I would like to listen.
Have given on the list on that unless not
Excuse
considering.
me.
So we had a roster. So all the devotees in the roster they have done their
They're
offering.
finished.
Unless someone wants to do on
Spontaneously.
spontaneously.
So then, shall we start? Okay. Hare Krishna. I'll start with offering some prayers first. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते राधानाथ स्वामी इति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री राधानाथ महाराज की जय। Remove this, allow me this. Hare Krishna. I am extremely grateful to be amongst all of you this evening. A very good evening to all of you. It's morning here in Dubai. Thank you so much, Prema and Narottam. You both are so dear to my heart. I was just remembering Prema the other day when she messaged me. I was thinking it's been a long time I haven't heard from her. And it is so beautiful that the spiritual master connects us every time. So for my purification and as a humble service to all of you, I would like to share some memories, share some thoughts on this most auspicious occasion of Gurudev's 70th Vyasa Puja. As fledgling devotees, all of us, including myself, we all require days like these where we can come together and rejuvenate our love, rejuvenate our enthusiasm, our dedication. There are so many lessons we can learn from the life and personality of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. And certainly it is not possible to enumerate all of them in an hour or so, but we will try our best to bring out some of the most fundamental qualities of Radhanath Maharaj, which all of us very sincerely should strive to imbibe and follow in our lives. Why? Because we all have been bestowed a fortune that none of us can ever understand. Radhanath Maharaj has given so much to all of us from his example, from his teachings, from his love. This legacy that we all have been bestowed upon has to be very carefully preserved in our hearts and passed on. The love that Radhanath Maharaj has for Srila Prabhupada is something so phenomenal. And whenever I think about Maharaj, spontaneously this prayer erupts from my heart that, "O Gurudev, let me have one drop of that love that you have for His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, for you." Of course, that is our philosophy. There's Srimad Bhagavatam, there's the Bhagavad Gita, there are so many wonderful books by Srila Prabhupada. But unless and until we all have an example who's living these principles every day, it's very difficult for us conditioned souls in this Kali Yuga to get attracted to Krishna. And despite of so many blessings and so many wonderful occasions and so many um, times that we have received mercy, still the conditioned mind keeps pulling us again and again. So days like these, what is the purpose behind these festivals? Purpose is to develop our attraction, our love. As Kapila Dev beautifully points out in the third canto, Saeva sadhu shukrito moksha dwaram apagatam. That prasangam ajaram pasham atmana kavayovido. He says that in this material world, it is very difficult to get relief from the tight noose of material attractions, attachments. And all of us, we are in the Grihastha life, and whoever may be, Grihastha life or Brahmachari life. Maya is very powerful. So many attractions, so many attachments. I am this, I am that. I'm born in this family, born in that family. I have this position. These are my children. This is my wife. This is my home. This is my property. This is my bank balance. It's very difficult. We are surrounded with so many attachments. So the tendency to become attached is so deeply ingrained from so many millions of lifetimes. And Prabhupada says in the purport of this beautiful verse, the third canto, is that the same tendency, if we dovetail towards a pure devotee of the Lord, it opens the doors for liberation. So all we have to do is we have to try to focus our attachment towards Gurudev, who was the spiritual master. So there are some beautiful anecdotes and pastimes that I would like to share with you. So many things we would be happy and thrilled to learn from his most dynamic personality. Just this morning, we all heard him speak so beautifully. Such nectar was flowing from his mouth. Towards the end, if you all realize how much, in such a deep, heartfelt way, he expresses that the greatest, the highest fortune that I have is that I have a service to perform for all of you. And if I'm able to serve properly, then maybe I'll be able to please my spiritual master. That's his humility. So the first pastime that I'd like to share at the same theme is that very beautiful pastime that once happened in Udupi. Some of these pastimes you may have heard before, but it is always so important to keep hearing them again so that we can relish them, we can nourish our hearts with the nectar. So my brother, my younger brother Shikshastakam, who was serving him personally at that time when he was in Udupi, and Gurudev was, he was recuperating. He had some health issues, and devotees had requested him to take a break from his very hectic preaching schedules. So he went to Udupi and he was relaxing. He was taking some Ayurvedic treatments. It was a beautiful environment. We had a nice bungalow which had been arranged for Maharaj, which was right on the beach. So Maharaj would take a walk every morning with a few brahmacharis. So this was one day Maharaj was walking and suddenly he saw on the beach there was a fish which was flapping like this. So Maharaj stopped immediately and he took the fish and he threw it into the ocean. And then he waited. Not that he just started walking away, that, okay, there's some animal in my pot, so just let me get it out. Not like that. He threw the fish in the ocean and then waited to see whether it again gets washed out. And it so happened that the next wave, the fish was again outside of the water and flapping on the beach in the sand. So Maharaj again grabbed the fish and threw it little strongly so that the fish could go into the water. And again, so happened that after a few minutes, the fish again washed out, and the fish was flapping on the sand. So this time, Maharaj grabbed the fish, started walking inside the ocean, started walking, and he walked till he was into the water until his waist, and then with great strength, he threw the fish into the ocean. And then he came out and he waited for a few minutes. And this time the fish did not come out. And then continued on his walk. There wasn't any discussion at that time, but the few brahmacharis were very pleased to see this wonderful manifestation of his compassion on a fish. And then when they came back after some time, they asked Maharaj, that was very beautiful. That was so kind of you what you did to that fish. And Maharaj, he shared his heart, he shared his realization. He said that the living entity is like this fish. The ocean of Krishna consciousness is the life and soul of all of us. I have been entrusted this service of rescuing all these fishes, all of you, who may sometimes get washed away by the forces of Maya from the ocean of Krishna consciousness. So, as a spiritual master, it is my duty to put you back into the ocean. And as you saw, that I had to try. I had to try hard. I had to make several attempts because that is the nature of Maya. It keeps pulling us out, pulling us out. And then Maharaj, in his utter humility, he said, in this way, if I go on throwing these fishes back into the ocean of Krishna consciousness, then someday Srila Prabhupada will also throw me. That is his humility. That is his love for Prabhupada. Prabhupada will also throw me one day. So in this way, we have heard so many wonderful lectures, so many wonderful descriptions and glorifications of the Lord, my Guru Maharaj, and the Vyasasana. But there is so much that happens behind the Vyasasana that many of us may not get a chance to hear and witness. Out of some inconceivable causeless mercy of the Lord, I am so unqualified and so lowly, had this great benediction of being in his personal association for a few years. And I was serving in the Radha Gopinath temple. So many beautiful episodes. Once Maharaj gave a very nice talk, and after a very hectic Sunday program, in the evening, Maharaj used to just relax in the Brahmacharya ashram, just come and jump on the lockers and he'd sit there relaxing. And all of us would surround him because we knew that some nectar he would give us. Because with the brahmacharis, he had a very informal kind of mood. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes he was very happy and he would be very informal and he would smile and talk and joke with us. So somebody had donated some chikkus. Maharaj had cut the chikkus and he was distributing the chikkus to all the devotees. And everyone was so happy, enjoying these delicious fruits given by the merciful hands of our beloved Father. And then Maharaj said something very profound. He said, you have the highest philosophy, you have the best association, and you have the greatest shelter. If you are grateful, you will realize this. I'll repeat. You have the highest philosophy, you have the best association, and you have the greatest shelter. Highest philosophy of Srila Prabhupada's books, his purports, Krishna consciousness, the highest philosophy in all of creation. We have the best association that Maharaj and Prabhupada has given us around us. And we have the most merciful shelter of Radha Gopinath. What can be more beautiful than that? But despite of all this, if we are not grateful, we'll fall down. We'll not. So this is Maharaj's heart. Gratitude. You don't realize anything if we don't cultivate real gratitude in our heart. Gratitude is a very important quality for all of us, and we see over and over again Maharaj emphasizing this. Be grateful, be humble. Without gratitude, there can be no love, and without love, there can be no community. A community of devotees is such an important responsibility of every single devotee, every single Vaishnava is part of that community. We must learn to accept, acknowledge, appreciate the services of everyone around us. This is something that we have noticed always in Maharaj's personality. Whenever he gives initiations, every single disciple he initiates, he says, "Thank you very much. Thank you very much." If you ever see any initiation recordings, or if you recollect your own initiation, you will see Guru Dev saying thank you very much to us. That's his heart. One time, one devotee who was sharing this beautiful episode of his life. He professionally, he's a high-profile executive of a multinational company. It's probably assistant director or something on a very high position. Very successful man, but humble devotee, had come to Krishna consciousness, not initiated yet. And it so happened one of the years he came for a yatra. For a yatra. Anyone of you have attended the yatras, you know there are thousands of people, and nobody knows who you are and what your background is. And you know, you come, you get services, you start doing your service. So he also was given a service. And what was his service? He was given the service of holding a placard, a sign that the buses have to go this way. That's all. You know, some of you might be having very exalted positions in your companies, you know. But in the yatra, we don't care, you know. We just love doing our service. He was standing like this with the placard, and there were at least 50 buses. You know, he was just standing like this with all the buses passing. And, you know, when devotees are enjoying the buses, they don't even notice who is standing at the placard. So it's such a thankless service that, you know, nobody's noticing me. Who am I? All that pride and everything is completely gone. Service. So he held that like that for quite some time, almost an hour or so. And then in the end, Radhanath Maharaj's car was passing. And he was holding the placard, and the car passed. And Radhanath Maharaj rolled the windows down. And he said like this to that devotee. He went like this, "Thank you." And he was so touched by that. He was so happy. Maharaj looked at me and he appreciated my service. So this is Maharaj's heart. He's a world acharya. So many devotees, they want his association. He's busy preaching. So many different ISKCON matters that he deals with, his GBC. So many things are there. But his heart is all about little details in love. As we've always heard, love is not a huge thing, but a million small things. And that you see very much in Maharaj. His preaching skills, I would like to share some beautiful pastimes about his preaching skills. Of course, we have seen on the Vyasas, but there are certain episodes that you may have never heard. This is when he was preaching as a brahmachari. He was serving as a brahmachari in the New Vrindavan temple for 8 long years. He served as a pujari, and if you hear his routine, you will be shocked. Here, it's every day he had to cook all the 6 offerings, do all the 6 aratis, dress the deities, clean everything, clean the kitchen, wash the pots by himself, chant his rounds, and then whenever there was some free time, also milk the cows because the cows were also, it was also part of the goshala. And if all of this was not enough, the temple authorities um, one day called him and said that, hey, there was some attack, some unscrupulous people had come to New Vrindavan and they were stealing things. So can you be like a guard in the night? Can you just sit under the under under a bulb and just guard the place and see that, because they knew that Radhanath will not refuse. He will not say no. And Maharaj said, yeah, sure, why not? So after all this, after finishing his a very busy day, in the night at around 10 o'clock or so, he would go and sit to guard that place, the temple area. And all night, all night he had to do that. And at around 2:30 or so, he would go take a bath and chant his rounds and get ready for the next day. So we asked him, when would you sleep, Maharaj? He said, I would sleep in between the offerings, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And like this, he did for 8 long years. 8 years. His forbearance levels are mind blowing. I mean, those who have read The Journey Home, we know what unbelievable levels of patience and tolerance. You remember that mongoose was sitting on his head for 6 hours. Remember that pastime? And in the journey home, he narrates this mongoose had climbed into his hair, and the person said that in our culture, it's very auspicious, very nice. The mongoose comes and so you don't disrespect them and you don't move, otherwise they'll kill you. For 6 hours, this mongoose is in Maharaja's head, and he did not move. So, excuse me. So, like that, Maharaj was doing Pujari Seva for 8 years. And then, after 8 years, the devotees requested, because they saw what an amazing preacher he was, what Bhagavatam classes he would give. So they said that we have some help in the Pujari department, you can start doing some college preaching. And all they gave him, the resources that he got for the college preaching was just instruction. Everything else he had to figure out how he would go from New Vrindavan to the universities and everything. So everything he figured it out, and he somehow the other arranged it, and then he started doing the college preaching. So this is an incident that happened once in one of the universities that he was preaching. So he was preaching to a student. A group of students was standing in the campus, and he was talking about Krishna and how Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And it so happened that they saw some of these what they call clergymen or something from the church. They were wearing long gowns, and they saw this individual, shaven head and long tilak, and they called Hare Krishna as a cult, an unwanted cult of America. And then they started yelling. They started yelling, "Go away, go away! Why you are here? Why you polluting the innocent hearts?" And like that, they were started shouting at Maharaj. And obviously, the kids, they saw, wow, uh, two personalities from different faiths. They're going to fight now. So it was more of such students gathered to see now what happens next. So Maharaj was very patient. He was hearing, they were yelling, shouting, this, that. Jesus is the only way. Jesus is the only way. Don't you pollute their hearts like this. Go away from here. And like that, he just kept on repeating again and again and again. And then after a few minutes, when they were done, Maharaj just very humbly, he spoke to them. He said that I'm very sorry that my presence is causing you so much of discomfort and inconvenience. I would like to humbly ask you something. Do you really believe that the Almighty that you are talking about, that Jesus spoke about, is the most beautiful of everyone? Of course, they said, of course, he's the most beautiful. Do you believe that he is the most powerful? Do you believe that he is the most famous? Do you believe that he is the most beautiful? Do you believe that he is the most renounced? Do you believe he is the most opulent? And in this way, Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Viryasya Shasya. So he was talking about all the six opulences of Krishna. And they kept saying, yes, of course, the Almighty is like that. And then he said, in the Sanskrit language, someone who possesses all these six opulences is called Krishna. So, do you say that the Almighty you just now acknowledged is Krishna? And they were like, they were completely in a fix and they had to say yes, because they had to accept. And all the children were, they were so happy that how beautifully and how calmly Maharaj handled that situation. He didn't started getting annoyed or, very beautifully he expressed that there is absolutely no difference. It is the same Krishna that you are talking about as the Almighty Father. But look at his preaching skills, that he just made them accept everything, and then he also made them accept that it was Krishna, because there is no difference. His preaching skills. One time when Mataji asked him a question in a class, Maharaj, how do I develop tolerance? She was a young lady. She was not maybe about 18 or 20. Maharaj looked at her and said, just become a mother. So Prema is going to be a mother very soon. So a nice, beautiful chapter of tolerance is coming ahead for you. Maharaj beautifully answered, just become a mother. You'll learn what is tolerance. Sometimes devotees would come to Maharaj talking about, Maharaj, so difficult to handle children. We try our best. We give them the best association. We try to bring them to the temple. We do everything. But still, Maharaj, it is so difficult. The children won't listen. The children, Maharaj would just smile and say, Advaita Acharya had 6 children. 3 became devotees and 3 became Mayavadis. So if Advaita Acharya could not control his kids, why you were trying? And everybody would just laugh. This is Maharaj. Have you all heard the story of the Leicester Temple? Did anyone share that today?
No, no, Prabhu.
Talking about his wonderful, powerful preaching. There was one devotee who was sharing this pastime with us in Pune Temple. That once Maharaj had come to Pune congregation and they had organized a beautiful program with all the Pune Temple is a huge temple, crores of rupees were spent to build it. So obviously there were big donors. There were, you know, very influential personalities who had contributed nicely. So Maharaj was invited to do a special program for all these big donors, wealthy, affluent people of the society. And Maharaj gave a beautiful class. I think he sang the song Bhuliya Tomare, or I think one of these songs, Amar Jivan Bhuliya Tomare, where Bhakti Vinod Thakur is talking about what kind of a fallen existence I have. I've forgotten you, and how I am traversing from my mother's womb, and now I'm completely lost in all these illusions. And Maharaj was very beautifully describing this bhajan. Now, it so happened that one of the donors, it was just too much for him. He's saying, wow, what is this? You know, why is he talking so much of negativity and all that? And he just walked away from the class. He just got up and he just left the hall. And then he probably must have said something to someone, and then the devotees later on, after the lecture was over, Maharaj, they told Maharaj, there was this individual who was giving such a feedback. They're saying, why is this man talking in, you know, in such a demotivating, demoralizing way? And so Maharaj was very happy. He started laughing. He said, at last I found somebody who hates my lecture, who did not like my lecture at all. So he laughed, and then he said that, can you give me the phone number of this person? And Maharaj then called him. Maharaj called that person, and he started speaking about Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He said that, do you know who is the author of that bhajan I sang? He was a great magistrate. He was a very influential person, and he had so many children. He had such a wonderful position in the society, and he was one of the most powerful magistrates of his time. And then he started explaining how the heart of a great Vaishnav is in relation to Krishna, in relation to his service, in relation to his humility to Krishna, in a way that he could understand it in his context. And this conversation that he had with Radhanath Maharaj just moved his heart so much that after the conversation, he said really thank you to Maharaj. And after a few days, he called back the temple and he said that I would like to meet him. And by then, Maharaj had already left. He had already gone back to Bombay or somewhere. And he said, next time if he comes, please do inform me. I would like to meet him. So they informed, the next year Maharaj came, they informed him, and he came running to the temple to see Maharaj. And he came in the morning and Maharaj was doing his chanting. And he was a big man, so nobody stopped him. He went straight to Maharaj. And on his knees, he was saying, I am that same person who offended you, Maharaj, last year. I felt very bad afterwards. I was really churning in my heart that how could I do this? You're such a holy man. I'm really sorry. I would like to do something for you. What can I do to atone for this? Maharaj just looked at him and said, chant one round next to me. Chant Hare Krishna next to me. And he chanted one round, and then after that he said, Maharaj, but I really want to do something. I have done a big mistake. So Maharaj said, if you really want to do something for me, chant Hare Krishna all your life. And he took that to his heart, and within a few years then he was initiated by Maharaj. So his preaching is very heartfelt. It's very personal. Another incident I would like to share about his amazing preaching. This happened in 2010. He was invited to Leicester, United Kingdom, England, and some devotees had organized a program. I'll come to this, but before that, I'd like to give you a background. That in Leicester, devotees had a very simple place. They were having a temple which was actually a villa, and there was next to the temple was a small a garage in which they would cook for the devotees and for the deities. But it was an old villa. I mean, just like many places, any times we see in ISKCON, we get all these completely discarded properties, and that's how many of our temples have started. I mean, I remember in Seattle, and I don't know, in Portland also, there was a very, I don't know whether you still have the same place or we have a different place now. Because when I used to come, it was a very simple place. And in Seattle, it was even more. Now they have a beautiful palatial temple, but earlier it was a very simple place, very old property. So something like that the devotees in Leicester had, and it was a very run-down place. I mean, nothing would really work properly. But devotees had nothing else, so they would get together and they would have nice Krishna conscious programs over there. And one day, as they were dancing and chanting Hare Krishna going on, and suddenly they hear a blast. And what is that blast? Somebody had left the gas stove unattended in the kitchen, and somehow it caught fire, and there was a huge blast. The whole kitchen burned down. Fortunately, everybody was busy dancing and chanting when the cooks were dancing and chanting. So nobody got hurt. Nobody got injured in any way. The whole place burned down. The whole garage burned down. And then the devotees started thinking that, this is Krishna's indication. We need to find a better place. It's been too long. We have been in this. So some devotees, they started going around to see if there were any properties that we could find. Um, they saw a beautiful, like, marvelous palace kind of a structure in one of the high streets of Leicester. And just for the sake of curiosity, they say, hey, what is this building? And then somebody told them this is like the flagship building of Barclays Bank. This was built in 1875. It's like now the property is closed down because, it's a very ancient building. It's like more or less like a monument. So, wow, that would be nice if we could have this as our temple. And the devotees had a hearty laugh when they heard that. Really? You really feel that we can have a temple here? They said, "Why not? Let's check it out." So they just for the sake of curiosity, they asked if anybody knew anyone in that building. So they started digging, and then they were able to connect. They found out that this building, which was vacant, was one of the oldest buildings in Leicester. Beautiful mahogany carvings and stained glasses and chandeliers, and beautiful marble. It was $10 million. 6 million pounds was the worth of the building. And when they heard $10 million, they were says, "Let's go back. Let's just go back." And in this way, there was just a word sent to the CEO, because the secretary of the CEO happened to be a Hare Krishna devotee, although the CEO did not know this. But the secretary was an Indian, and he was the one who heard that devotees were doing like this. So he mentioned it to the CEO. CEO just heard it. He didn't do anything. Meanwhile, Maharaj was invited in London in the headquarters of the Barclays Bank. I think it's HSBC or Barclays. I don't know which one. Barclays, I guess. So he came, And there were a lot of Indians who had organized this because in the headquarters there were a lot of Indians who worked there. They organized this and they called Maharaj, and Maharaj gave in. It so happened that the CEO was also present in the class. 20 minutes down the lecture, he called his secretary and says, "Is this the same group as you had mentioned to me about the Leicester property?" And this person, with great pride, he said, "Of course, yes, this is the same group. That's the Hare Krishna temple, local temple there." I said, "If this is how these people are, I mean, I'm so impressed with this personality. I would like to just give away that property to them." And this secretary was shocked to what he just heard. But he was a very intelligent Indian. He said, um, really, but I feel that you shouldn't just give it away because, gifts sometimes may have legal complications, the shareholders, and there may be, why not just offer them that whatever you can give, you give, and we'll give the property to you. He said, yes, do it. Today is Saturday. By Thursday, close the deal. I want this whole thing finished because before it gets out and the word gets out and the shareholders come to know and all that, let's just do it. He was so deeply impressed by Maharaj that he just wanted to give it to the devotees. And then he called Pradyumna Prabhu, was the temple president. The secretary called him and, I have a news for you. And Pradyumna Prabhu, well, what is it? He said, our CEO has decided to give away the Barclays flagship property to you. I said, but we don't have $10 million. And all that. He said, no, 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 no need to worry. He has said, whatever you are able to collect and give, we will give you the property. And Pradyumna Prabhu was like in ecstasy. He wanted to dance. He said, my goodness, this is unbelievable. How is this possible? And then once he hung up the phone, he told all the devotees that you will not believe what Krishna has done. And then they all set out. At that time they had just about $50,000. And they said, doesn't look nice. Let us at least try to collect some more. And then they collected about $500,000, 350,000 pounds. And then they called back by Wednesday. He said that we have been able to raise 5% of $10 million, of 500,000. Is that okay? He said, yes, yes. And then he called the CEO and he told the CEO that they have $500,000. What should we do? Because he wanted everything formalized. He said, do it. Finish the deal today. And in this way, this magnanimous building, anyone who goes to UK, please go to Leicester Temple. Beautiful temple. I mean, there is a picture of it. I don't know if I can share it. It's not on my computer. Let me see if I can see it. Can you all see this?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
That's the Leicester Temple.
Uh,
New Leicester Temple. So this is how the Leicester Temple um, came to us. As Maharaj's purity, the love of his heart for Prabhupada, the sincerity, the integrity of his dedication to Prabhupada is just unbelievably so powerful. As Prabhupada said, purity is the force. It is so beautiful. So in this way, let's see if I have some more. His ability, I mean, there are so many. His ability to to thrill us, any situation. Devotees, many times, they would go into his room with problems and discuss so many problems, and suddenly you would hear a huge laughter. That was Radhanath Maharaj cracking some nice joke and making everybody so happy. So this is an incident once the devotees were sharing when they had been in the first Rath Yatra in Mumbai that was organized by our temple. The devotees had decided a temple, a Rath Yatra, which was earlier being done by the Juhu temple devotees. But this time the devotees had thought that why not we also try to organize a Rath Yatra festival from our temple. So when they approached Maharaj, Maharaj was very happy. He said, yes, yes, why not? You should also do a Rath Yatra festival. So they did, they organized the first Rath Yatra. And then everything went very well except one thing. They fell short of prasadam. They did not expect so many people. And then towards the end, they had to only give some halfa prasadam. So they, the prasadam team, when they met Maharaj, there was a follow-up meeting and everybody was sharing their thoughts. The prasadam team was a little disappointed that, we did not prepare properly, Maharaj. We had advertised sumptuous prasadam for everyone. We had advertised it like that. So Maharaj just laughed and he said, well, you can just remove from sumptuous, remove chuas and some prasadam for everyone. So you still did what you had said. And everybody just laughed. Sumptuous prasadam. His play with words is amazing. Amazing. I was once traveling with him in a train, and he was doing his work. He was dictating his letters, and I used to type his letters. He would dictate them, and I would type them. So for a long time, the train was not moving. It was on the same place. One second. It was in the same place. So Maharaj, he asked, "What is the name of this? Where are we?" So I said, "Maharaj, we're in the Karjat station." And then he said, "It's been not moving for a long time, right?" So yes, Maharaj, over an hour. Well, that's how sometimes in India trains are stuck and then they did not move. So Maharaj said, "What is the name of this train?" So it was the Mahalakshmi Express, which ran between Kolhapur and Mumbai. So they should change the name. They should make it Mahamaya's Distress, not Mahalakshmi Express. Mahamaya's Distress. Recently, when Maharaj, after his one of his virtual talks, virtual programs that he has been doing, he was sharing this with us. He was meeting all of us after the class online. So I was sharing. I was telling Maharaj that it is so wonderful. We're missing you so much, but somehow because of the technology, because of these virtual programs, we're able to get here. So he said, yes, it is amazing. And yesterday also, the way he started the first sentence, if you remember, technology, he was appreciating the technology so much. He's saying it is amazing. These virtual programs, virtual, again and again, virtual. He was saying, it is like, in Sanskrit, Veera. Veera means something very amazing, very powerful, very great. Like Veerbhadra, and Veera Chandra. And similarly, it's a Veerachual program, the Veerachual. He then converted virtual into Veerachual, and he said that this is something so amazing. So, like that, he loves to play with uh, words a lot. What else? I think are we running out of time now? It's almost getting to 8 o'clock.
So we will still a little bit more time. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll share some more stories with you. This was narrated by one of our god sisters, very sweet pastime. Um, she is from Goa, and it so happened that she had never met Maharaj. She was she was introduced to Krishna consciousness. She started chanting. She started hearing Maharaj's lectures, and she got so attracted to Maharaj that every night she had a habit. She would take Maharaj's picture in her hands, and she would look at Maharaj and said that I really love you, Maharaj, and I really want to become your disciple. And unfortunately, after some time, she contracted a terminal disease, and she was very sick, very sick. She was admitted to the ICU, and the doctors had said that she may not survive. The situation was so bad. So the devotees who were taking care of her, her counselors and all, they were trying to console. And she was very broken-hearted. She was very, very broken-hearted. So they somehow got in touch with Radhanath Maharaj, who was at that time preaching in America. And they told everything to Maharaj. Maharaj said, you connect me to that devotee on the phone. So she was connected, and Maharaj came on the phone, and Maharaj spoke very nicely, so beautifully, so lovingly. He spoke to her, encouraging her, telling her to remember Krishna, and he was chanting. He was really, really so loving. And then before concluding the call, before hanging up, Maharaj said, and I would like to also give you initiation on the phone. And she was so touched, she was so moved. And I say, I would like to accept you as my disciple, and I would like to take this service of offering you to Krishna, to Srila Prabhupada, and your name is Jai Shri Radhe. And then he said, and Jai Shri Radhe, you also know, remember this, that I also love you very much. And then he kept the phone. And this Mataji was crying tears. She was so touched. She was so moved. She was so emotional. How Maharaj so deeply had touched her heart with his unbounded love. And very miraculously, because of this unparalleled joy that she experienced, probably because of the grace that she received, she survived. She she came out of the ICU. She recovered, and till today, she is nicely serving. Guru Maharaj, his love is just unbelievable. I'll tell one last pastime and we'll stop. One of our devotees, Brahmachari disciples of Maharaj, he was narrating this beautiful episode. Maharaj was one day getting ready to go for a meeting. It was a very special meeting. It was a program organized by Krishna Chandra Prabhu, who is one of our very senior Grahastha disciples of Maharaj. And Maharaj's own father, Mr. Jerry Slevin, had come from Chicago to spend some time with his son. So they had organized a nice program in Krishna Chandra Prabhu's house. I was like in many other senior devotees of our congregation were invited. Suddenly Maharaj sees this brahmachari, his name is Gopinath Charan, I think. And he says, how's your mother? Because he had heard that his mother was very sick. Sham Charan, sorry, Sham Charan. Sham Charan Prabhu's mother. He said, Maharaj, her health is not good. She's in her final moments. I think the doctors have said that she might not survive. In fact, I am just going there now to see her. So Maharaj said, take me also. And here Maharaj is just all set to go for this big program with his father. And the servant said, Maharaj, this is a program. He said, I'll talk to Krishna Chandra on the way. And he traveled from Radha Gopinath Mandir almost 2 hours in the traffic of Mumbai to see the mother of this brahmachari. And he goes there, he reaches the place. His mother is in a very bad shape. She's like, she's not fully unconscious, but more or less in an unconscious state. And Maharaj went there and he held this Mataji's hand. He held her hand like this. And he started chanting the Mahamantra. And somehow that Mataji had that much consciousness that she was able to hold Maharaj's hand. She could recognize that somebody is holding my hand. And she grasped Maharaj's hand like this. So Maharaj kept on chanting. He chanted for some time. He chanted for 45 minutes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. And then after 45 minutes, the devotee Sham Charan, the son of that mother, he kind of tried to take the hand away, the mother's hand away, so Maharaj could carry on. But as soon as he tried to pull her mother's hand, his mother's hand, she tightly clasped Maharaj's hand again. She was not letting it go. And Maharaj said, don't do it. For another 1 hour, Maharaj chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra for her, just holding her hand. And then after some time, when she appeared to be drifted into a state of sleep, then Maharaj left. And this happened, and a few days later, Maharaj had, after that, Maharaj, probably next year, a few days after that, he left for the Mayapur GBC meetings, and there he saw Sham Charan again. And he said that, I heard your mother passed away. And have you come for the last rites? So he said, yes, Maharaj, I've come for the last rites. So he said that, will it be okay if I perform her last rites? And Sham Charan he fell on his knees. He said, Maharaj. And he started crying. He started crying and he said that after my mother, after you left, she came to consciousness partially for some time and said, she did not say much. She said that the person who was holding my hand, if the same person can come to immerse my ashes into the holy river, I'll be very happy. And Sham Charan had not mentioned this to anybody. He said that I can't expect that from Maharaj. But Maharaj, he cancelled his GBC meetings from that day in the morning time, told the devotees that I have to do this. So he went to the Ganga took the ashes of this Mataji and immersed them. My dear devotees, this is why I am praying to all of you to please pray for me that I may never forget the loving grace of this most magnanimous and most compassionate and loving personality. And even if we surrender millions of lifetimes, it cannot repay the debt that we have towards our beloved spiritual master. My sincerest prayer is that all of you always remain humble and sincere and dedicate your lives in serving Him with all your hearts, all your souls. Make Him proud because that's all He deserves. That's so much more He deserves. And once again, I would like to thank Prema Rupa, Madhavi, Narottam Vilas Prabhu. Murthy Mohan Prabhu is also here. Thank you, Prabhu. And all the other devotees of Portland for giving me this chance of purifying my heart and sharing some thoughts with all of you about Radhanath. Radhanath Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki. So we'll stop here. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
we don't want you to stop. Prabhu, can we, like, I know we're over time, but since it's you, I'm sure devotees won't mind. Can we end with like maybe a bhajan or anything? If that's okay by you.
Yes, why not? We can sing a bhajan if you want.
If I may, to request you, we can sing Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya. If that would be anything you like, but yeah, it's a small request.
So Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya will sing that. You all have the lyrics. You can open the lyrics.
Prabhu, can I share share my screen for this?
Yeah, you can. See. Click. Only wait, please. Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koroi Dase Trina Pekhati Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koroi Dase Trina Pekhati सकल सहाने बल दिया कोरो सकल सहाने बल दिया कोरो निज माने स्पृहहीना निज माने सकल सहाने बल दिया कोरो सकल सहाने बल दिया कोरो Jamani Srihina Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koroi Dase জন কৃতার্থ হইবে নাথ কবে হেন কৃপা লভিয়ায় জন কৃতার্থ হইবে নাথ শক্তি বুদ্ধিহীন আমি অতি দীন শক্তি বুদ্ধিহীন আমি অতি ওরে মোর আত্মসাৎ করো মোরে গুরুদেব কৃপা বিন্দু দিও করো এই দাসে তৃণাপেক্ষাতিহীন গুরুদেব কৃপা বিন্দু দিও করো এই দাসে তৃণাপেক্ষাতিহীন যোগ্যতা বিচারে কিছু নাহি পা তোমার করুণা সার বিচারে কিছু নাহি পা তোমার করুণা সার করুণা না হইলে কান্দিয়া কান্দিয়া করুণা না হইলে কান্দিয়া কান্দিয়া প্রাণ না রাখিব আর প্রাণ না রাখিব করুণা না হইলে কান্দিয়া কান্দিয়া করুণা না কান্দিয়া কান্দিয়া প্রাণ না রাখিব আর প্রাণ না রাখিব গুরুদেব কৃপা বিন্দু দিয়া করো এই দাসে তৃণাপেক্ষাতিহীন গুরুদেব কৃপা বিন্দু দিয়া করো এই দাসে তৃণাপেক্ষাতিহীন সকল সহানি বল দিয়া করো সকল সহানি বল দিয়া করো নিজ মানে স্পৃহহীন নিজ মানে স্পৃহহীন গুরুদেব কৃপা বিন্দু দিয়া করো এই দাসে তৃণাপেক্ষাতিহীন श्री राधानाथ महाराज की थैंक यू वेरी मच
Beautiful. So much. We can listen to your voice all day long. Thank you so much. And for some reason, when I heard the bhajan, when I was singing the bhajan, I could feel more connected to Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for invoking that, with that feeling, that connection, reawakening that connection. Thank you so much, Guru.
Hi, Krishna devotees. If you all want, please speak to Prabhu, or share open your video, at least say some words of gratitude. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Swarup Damodar Prabhu. Thank you for enlightening with the wonderful
Hare
pastime of the Maharaj.
You can do it with video. I'll be on the side.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. This is Lakshmi Priya Dasi.
Yes, Mataji, I saw you between Lakshmi Priya Mataji.
How,
How are you?
thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you very, very much.
Swarup Damodar Prabhu, thank you very much. This is Krishna Keshav Das. You know me as Corvallis. Thank you very much for
which one? Anirudh Aleti, I think. That is your.
Anirudh. Yeah, it's very fortunate to have your Annaprasanna.
Why is all of your videos off? There is a nice thing Maharaj said about this.
Yes, Prabhu.
It's not different from his name. So please turn on your videos so I know who's speaking. So you are, we are all not non-different from our names. So we have to also have our forms in front. So,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is Murthy Mohan Das from Balram Desh.
please turn on your video so I can have your darshan.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Swarup Damodar Prabhuji, this is Murthy Mohan Das from Balram Desh.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Swarup Damodar Prabhu. This is Rohini Kishore Das and family here. And we are really blessed to hear you. Hari Bol.
My pleasure to serve.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is Murthy Mohan Das from Balram Desh. It was my great fortune to listen to your wonderful glorification of Maharaj. I was so
miss coming to Balaram Desh more than a year now.
Prabhu, where are you right now?
I am in Dubai.
Oh, Jai. How is it? Give our dandavats to Siddheshwari Mataji.
Yes, sure. We also have Sundari Priya, who is from Salt Lake City. I invited her. Sundari Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all the assembled devotees. Thank you so much for such a nectarian pastime, and it's just a blessing to see all the God family here. My humble obeisance to each of you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everyone. Oh, Mataji, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Divyangi Radha Devidasi from Balram Desh. Very happy to see you again.
Heartiest congratulations for the upcoming assignment for all of you. Manu Patel, Prabhu, are you the same one? Or we have once come and stayed in your place? I remember once we were
I'm from
traveling.
Sri Lanka, Prabhu. Yes.
Traveling back to Seattle, we came and stayed with you, I think.
Yes, Prabhuji. We are fortunate to host you, Prabhu.
After a decade. I hope all of you are doing well, and I pray to Krishna to keep you all in good health and in wonderful services.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So, Swarup Damodar Prabhuji, here is Anirudh now.
Hare Krishna. Anirudh.
Krishna.
Grown up so much, huh?
I guess.
Yeah, last we met at Jagannath Puri Prabhuji during the Yatra.
Yes, Prabhu. I remember he was in your arms.
Yes, Prabhuji.
You are still in Corvallis, Krishna Keshav Prabhu?
Prabhuji, actually, I moved 4 years ago near Portland, in Washington State, place called Camas by Vancouver.
Very nice.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. It's very nice to hear. Wonderful
All
path.
of you. Please continue to keep me in your prayers.
Swarup Damodar Prabhu, any plan to visit US again?
Yes, Krishna willing, I will.
Please come visit Portland devotees when you get a chance to.
Surely come. We had such nice time with the Portland devotees. Every year we would come for your wonderful Rath Yatra festival.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji.
When we, Prabhuji, we had Corvallis Janmashtami. Actually, you are our chief guest there.
All right. That was many years ago.
Dramas.
Swarupa Damodar Prabhuji, this is Shubhasri. This was a wonderful lecture I have ever heard. I mean, I whole day, if someone tells about Maharaj, I would love to hear. I was so happy and I can't even express my feelings. This was a heartwarming class today I had, Prabhuji. So thank you so much for taking this class. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Guru Maharaj is unbelievably sweet.
It's true, Prabhuji. That's true. I only met only one time in Baltimore. I get a chance to serve Maharaj. For everyone, he look at everyone. He spoke with everyone. What are you making? What you did? He was so humble. He was so sweet. Never seen such a person in my whole life. Mm, It's
That's we
there is no words to express, Prabhuji.
Yeah, we have never seen anyone like him, too.
Yeah, that's true.
There are so many beautiful, beautiful pastimes. We did not get time to share, but maybe some of the time we'll again sit and we can share more. Because the more we hear and speak about the spiritual master, the more Krishna is happy, Krishna is pleased with us.
Prabhuji, so I don't know if devotees have heard. So we have something called as JSS, J-triple-S actually, Shapadaka Swami Shishya Samuha. And then we occasionally devotees meet and, share realizations and pastimes. If everybody is interested, we can do this in a monthly manner. We can hear out glories of Radhanath Maharaj, share realizations and lessons that, we can imbibe in our lives. So any takers, please let us know.
Why not? Of course.
Exactly.
We can also talk about
We are all in for that, Prabhuji. Yes, please.
Yes, true, Prabhuji. I won't become absent person. Always I'll come.
There is a whole episode of Maharaja's New Vrindavan pastimes, which
Yes.
that's nectarian pastimes of New Vrindavan. So we'll surely sit again.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much for taking your time and enlightening us and rejuvenating us by Maharaj's pastimes. Thank you so much. Yeah, indeed, Maharaj said, we're so much indebted to you. Eternally grateful to you.
Prabhu, I am what I am just doing is something very insignificant, bringing you the glories of this great personality, my purification.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Just take care, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Please give our humblest regards and words to all the family members.
Yeah, very happy to see Prema after such a long time. And my sincere prayers that your pregnancy goes very smoothly. Any service, let me know.
Do we want to end the program today by reciting maybe Nashinga Stuti for Maharaj's well-being and the well-being of all the assembled devotees and all of Maharaj's disciples?
You can chant, yes.
How can I chant when you are here?
I want to hear too. We both can chant together.
No, I can.
And everything.
What is that?
Can you recite your version of Nashinga Stuti? Like you start with Ugram Veera Mahavishnu and then the whole hype.
Now let Narottam sing. Narottam, you start.
I can play, but I don't play Mridanga. She'll have to sing.
What is that? Okay, she'll sing. You play Mridanga.
Yeah.
For the well-being of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj and all the assembled devotees, will recite Stuti and end today's glorious celebration festival. Namaste Narasimhaya, Namaste Narasimhaya, Pralagalakadaine, Pralagalakadaine.
नृसिंहदेव भगवान की जय, भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरुदेव की जय।
His Honor's Radhanath Maharaj ki jai. His Grace Swarup Damodar Prabhu ki jai. ISKCON
Thank you.
Radhanath Maharaj Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Very cool.
Hare Krishna. So we will again meet soon. Thank you all very much. With your permission, and I'll leave the meeting now. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Glories to Prabhupada, Shri glories to Radhanath Maharaj.
Jai.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu